Your Daily 180, 180 seconds of pure Bible study.
Is it possible to understand the book of Revelation? Welcome to this, your Daily 180 Bible study. This week, we're beginning a 10-lesson series on the book of Revelation. Now, obviously, in 10 lessons, we're not going to be able to go through the entire book, but what we're going to do is look within the pages of the book of Revelation, and we're going to find some principles there that will help us to understand how to interpret it. Now today what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at a basic concept that is applicable to all of Scripture. And then as the days go on, we're going to be looking at some particular things that come directly from the book of Revelation that will handcuff us to an understanding of how we must view the book of Revelation. But today, let's talk about the basic interpretation of the book. There are a lot of different approaches that people take. Some people would call themselves a preterist, and some people would consider themselves something else. Well, let me talk to you about two basic views. And one basic view would be the pre-decided approach. Some people would call it the eisegetical approach. If you've got any training in biblical studies, you might be familiar with that term. The pre-decided approach is the idea that you insert into the Scriptures what you expect to find there to begin with. Well, that's not really a legitimate way to study the Bible. What we want to do is we want to go in and just take the raw text, analyze the data, look at the evidence, and take the evidence and courageously follow it wherever it leads us. So let me suggest to you, rather than taking the pre-decided approach, what we want to do is take the contextual approach. Let's just look at the raw text of Scripture and courageously follow it wherever it goes. Let me give you an illustration. Think of it in this respect. Imagine you had a well, the old type well where people would drop a bucket down into the water and they would crank it back up and they'd bring that bucket up, and if you drop that bucket into the water of that well, you would expect to bring up the pure water of that well. Now, if you drop that bucket down in there and you brought up a salt sea creature, maybe a shark or something like that, you would know pretty sure that that didn't just naturally come from that well. Someone put it in that well. There's certain things as you read the book of Revelation, if you're not careful, you'll find some things in there that people have inserted, and our prejudice and our bias and misunderstandings will begin to find them there when they're not really there. So this week, what we're going to do is just look at the raw text. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow for your Daily 180.